Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie if you're new here, and this is my May wrap up. In May, I went off the deep end. I read 14 books, and let's do a genre breakdown. I read one horror / dark academia book, one dark romance, 2 memoirs, 5 romance books, 2 young adult books, and 3 thrillers. Let me tell you about the 14 books I read and my thoughts on them. The first book I read in May was questionable. I started off the month, as everybody does, by reading a dark academia / horror book. It was Bunny by Mona Awad. Some people say it's horror, some people say it's dark academia because it does take place at a college, so it definitely gave that vibe as well. I thought this book was just gonna be like a Mean Girl clique vibe. It was not that. It was not that at all. I don't know if I liked this book. It was very creative. I'll give the author points for that. I'm just mostly confused to what even happened. And after I finished the book, I went online to try to figure out what actually happened. And I have an idea, but I feel like there were so many different ways you can look at what actually happened. Searching online just made me more confused. So I decided to just accept that I'll never know what actually happened. Definitely go into this book knowing you're going to be disturbed and confused, and you will set yourself up for success. I don't know what I would rate this book. 2.5 stars maybe, who knows. Then I went right into dark romance, stayed with the dark theme, and I read Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. Now this book was so hyped up to me, I thought I was gonna love it because I do really like dark romance books. However, this book ended up being overhyped for me. I feel like there was no build-up or development of the romance between the 2 main characters. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and the story itself wasn't that exciting to me. I should have just DNF'd it. I ended up skimming a lot of the book. I will say, and this is an unpopular opinion, most people say the spice in this book is too much. And yes, it is a lot, but honestly, it's the only thing that captured my attention. 5 out of 5 for the spice. Other than that, I would say it's a 2-star read for me. Then I listened to an audiobook. I listened to Counting the Cost by Jill Duggar. I don't know if you guys watched 19 Kids and Counting or 20 Kids and Counting growing up, but I definitely did watch the Duggars on TV. Basically, the Duggars are this huge family that still live in Little Rock, I believe, and they grew up with very religious beliefs, and they were a part of this cult called IBLP. A few of the siblings have opened up and told their side of the story, which was amazing to hear because no one ever spoke out against Jim Bob Duggar, which is their father. So this memoir was by Jill Duggar, one of the older sisters, and it was her turn to tell the story of what actually happened when they were growing up. In her memoir, you can definitely tell she's still holding back from revealing everything because most of her younger siblings still do live with her parents, and at one point in her life her parents did not let her visit her younger siblings because of everything she was opening up about, and so I think she's since dialed it back because she wants a relationship with her parents even though they've done horrible things to her, and most importantly she wants a relationship with her siblings so she can help them get out of this cult following that most of them are still involved in. So she can't completely trash her parents and reveal all of the family's dirty laundry, but it was still nice to hear from her. And she's in therapy, she's finally getting help. Her and her husband have such a great relationship. They have a beautiful family together, and I would love to hear more from her in the future and other siblings as well. And I didn't rate this book. Next, I read Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. This is a romance. This is Colin and Penelope's story from the Bridgerton family. I read this the week before season 3 of Bridgerton came out because if you don't know, it is about Colin and Penelope's story. So it's not necessarily following the Bridgerton books. I think if it went in order of the books, season 3 would have been Benedict's story, but I guess people requested Colin's story. And this was my first Bridgerton book I read, and I really loved it. It was easy to follow, it was fast-paced, Julia Quinn knows how to write a declaration of love from a male character to the female character, and it is beautiful, and you guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen season 1 and 2 and now 3. I will say I didn't like the story as much in the book. The book is very different from the show, and that is again because they're kind of jumping around and filming the seasons, and for the sake of everything making sense, how Colin and Penelope end up together is different. In the books, Colin and Penelope don't get together until like 10 years down the line. Sorry if that was a minor spoiler, but if you're watching the TV show, it's very different. I don't say often that the show is better than the book, but in this case, I think the Bridgerton shows are better than the books. I would give that book 3.75 4 stars. Then I read The Score by Elle Kennedy. This is the 3rd book in the Off-Campus series. I'm sure you guys know about this series. Hockey romance, college romance, all of that. And I think this is my least favorite book in the series so far. Nothing compares to the first book in the series, which is The Deal. I would probably give this book 2 stars. Definitely read The Deal. I don't know if you need to continue the series. That may be an unpopular opinion. Then I read The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is a romance. It is an OG BookTok book. My cousin told me when she was reading this, and after she finished it, she did not recommend it. She said, do not read this. However, since I've heard really good things about it and really horrible things about it, I had to figure out my thoughts on it myself. So I read it, and I wish I would have listened to my cousin because this was a painful read. Very painful. I thought I was gonna love it because it was a workplace romance situation, and I did love The Hating Game when I read it a few years ago. However, the romance wasn't my problem. My problem was the female main character's inner monologue. Oh my goodness, this girl got stuck in her thoughts so much. At one point, I was just skimming the crap out of this. I would skip over until I saw quotation marks, because then I knew that the characters were interacting with each other. I would skip for 10 pages at a time because this girl was just thinking. And honestly, after I skimmed over her thoughts, I don't even know what her name was, and I just read the dialogue after a certain point in the book still made sense. So all of that was completely unnecessary. I do not recommend this book. You can definitely skip it. Listen to me. Honestly, probably 1.5 stars. I'm just being so brutal today. Then I read Educated by Tara Westover. This is another memoir, and this was a very hard read for different reasons. It was very upsetting, and I didn't even live through what Tara went through. Her writing was amazing. It definitely made me feel all of the emotions. I forgot to mention I listened to the audiobook. At one point, I heard something so terrible I did not want to hear. I skipped maybe about 10 minutes of the audiobook so that way I wouldn't have to hear about it again, and I thought about it the rest of the night because it was so upsetting, and I still think about it. And at that point, I thought about not finishing the book. I did finish it, and it brought up what happened again at the end of the book. So definitely check trigger warnings if you want to read this. I don't know if she has them somewhere. I didn't hear them in the audiobook, but maybe she has it on her website somewhere. Okay, so the next 7 books, I have a whole reading vlog coming out so soon, and I'm going to be telling you more about those books in that reading vlog. So for this portion of the video, I'm simply going to tell you the book and if I recommend it or not. Next, I read To Sir Philip with Love by Julia Quinn. This is Eloise's story in the Bridgerton family, and honestly, I do not recommend this. Then I read Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This was a thriller. Yes, I recommend it. Then I read The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, another thriller. No, I do not recommend this one. Then I read Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is a cowboy romance. It's the 2nd book in this cowboy romance series. The first one was Done and Dusted, and yes, I recommend this. Then I read The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. This was a mystery, and no, I do not recommend this. This was probably my least favorite book I read for this video I'm talking about. Finally, I read my only physical book of the month, The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, and yes, a million times yes, I recommend this book. The sprayed edges are gorgeous on this copy. Then my 14th and final book of the month, I read If Only I Had Told Her by Laura Nolan. This is a young adult book. It's heartbreaking, and it is the sequel to If Only I Had Told Her. And yes, I recommend this book, and I feel like that's an unpopular opinion. I almost did not read this book because I saw so many booktubers say it was a mediocre read and that you can definitely skip it, and it was a letdown for them. I completely disagree. If you have not picked up this book because of other people's opinions, pick it up, read it. I gave this book 5 stars when I finished it. Now that I've had a little bit over a week to think about it, it's definitely not 5 stars, but it's up there. It's 4.5 stars. It was heartbreaking, but that book was exactly everything I needed it to be after reading If Only I Had Told Her. If you read the first book, If Only I Had Told Her, obviously you know that the second book, it's not gonna be a happy book, right? And typically a book I give 5 stars is a romance book. One where I fall in love with the main characters and I want to see more of them together. In this book, right away, you know that's not gonna happen, but I love this book for other reasons. The author talks about grief in this book, but she nails those actions, feelings, emotions surrounding grief. It felt so real, even though it is a fictional book. I personally loved the different point of views in this book. It switches point of views 3 times. I ended up liking the ending in this book, the ending that the author gave us glimpses of. It's very sad, so nobody's gonna be like, oh my god, this is my favorite book ever. This was a great follow-up to If Only I Had Told Her. You will cry. Just know you will cry. If you want a really emotional book, sometimes you just want to read a sad book, save this one. Save this one for when you want to be in your feels. Okay guys, those are the 14 books I read in May. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. It would make me so happy if you guys stuck around. I have so many good reading videos coming soon, and if you didn't know, I recently moved to Amsterdam with my husband. We're gonna be here for 2 years, so if you want to see some travel vlogs around Europe, if you want to see lifestyle videos in Amsterdam, just let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you find a 5-star read in June. Bye.